Thank you for coming on and watching Crafty Creations. We'll be making a wreath on the Unique in the Creek Large Board using this 10-inch sign and using these mesh. And I'll show you what petals I'll be using when I come to that. But first, let's add our zip ties. On the second row, we're going every single hole, adding our zip tie. So altogether, there is 32 sets. So when you add your zip tie, you make sure your head of the zip tie is flat, facing the ceiling. When you go down into that one hole and up through the other one that's beside it, and give it a couple of clicks. Don't zip it fully, because you'll be adding your petals in there. And so when I look at the sign, I chose black for the framing part, right? And green, because there's a lot of pink in there, and there is even pink in the little the sign, the welcome around it. And I'm gonna do less pink and more black and more green. But I thought about white, but there's a lot of white. There's white in there, so no white for this wreath, because this way the sign will pop when I use those darker colors, is what I chose to do. And so that's why I chose green and black. So black always goes nicely with everything, of course. So I chose that to be the frame, like the outer one. And the green will be the second color, which will be on this third row that we're adding zip ties in. So that's how I chose these colors. And that's the colors. And then as a designer, I love using mixed petals. You know, if you know me, I've been designing flower wreaths using different petals. That's always something fun for me, and I love doing that. And so I chose two different a bit of the same petal, but folded different with an added touch. And so it is the 3D daisy. This is the 3D daisy. So that's for the, and that's the only black I have for poly burlap. I have some, but I don't have enough for 32 petals. So I just use this. See, it's a window pane poly burlap. It works just as well. It'll go nicely once we add them in there, as most of the petal will be out over the board anyways, so you won't see the board through those the little holes of the mesh right there. And so black window pane it is for row 2. And so again, I have to check to see which petal would look nice in this with an added touch. As you can see, this sign, it gave me the vibes, the what do you call, like my own culture sort of vibes, culture, like the designs that the ladies do when they're beading. This sort of gave me those vibes for the what do you call, the design on the sign. And so I wanted to do a bead. So, because beads are always good, wonderful regalia for our culture. And so a bead, I'm going to add a bead. So I am using the 3D daisy petal. This is the 3D daisy petal, and this is the reverse 3D daisy petal. it's the same, it's folded the same, but we can add it we can add the daisy petal reverse on the other side. And I added a touch, like a bead. It's not really a bead, but just a touch of that, again, that regalia of my culture background. And so that's how this wreath came to be. That's how I'm gonna design it. So here we go. So keep adding our zip ties on row 2, which will be 24. So 32 zip ties on row 2 and 24 on row 3, which makes 32, 24, 56. 56 petals. Oh, 1 row, almost 2 rows of mesh is what I'm using for this design. Like I said, I always use the small board for these kind of petals and designs, but this time I'm going big because it's a big sign. It's a bigger sign. I usually use 8 inches, but 10-inch signs, I'd like to make one because I saw I could show you that I could do both. So that is how this design came to be. For your FYI. Okay, enough talking here. So I get those questions a lot, like how do you get such nice colors, choose this nice colors for your wreaths? How do you choose which one do you look at first? Sometimes, most of the time I look at the sign, but sometimes I want to use that ribbon and match it up with something. If I find it somewhere, I'll order it and do it, right? That's my motto. Okay, so all those are added in there, all 56 of the zip ties. Okay, we'll put that aside, and then I'll show you how to do this one here. I'll show you both right now, right away, and then we'll just add them into the board. I get to show you 2 each of the petals. Okay, grab our 4-inch and our nippers and our scissors because we'll be needing those for this. And so what I do when I fold my 3D daisy chain petal is I put this curved side up, meaning when you put your mesh or poly burlap or whatever onto your table, it curves this way. It's not flat like that. It's curvy. That's not scurvy, but curvy. And then you face it towards you and you turn it this way into a diamond. Grab this and this. I'm showing you the wrong way. See that? Just like that. You probably don't see that because it's black, but... And then where this flap is, where this pointy part is, you put your pointer right there. I do that, and then I flip this over, so this way these tips over here will match. Mine doesn't, but you can always move it this way, make sure it's sitting on top of each other, and then swinging it around. And then here I measure. Of course I measure. I measured it about 5 inches down. 5 inches. Let's use the squares here. This is 5 inches. 5 inches. And then I pinch here and here. See that? And then I grab my 4-inch. Okay. And zip it. You can use a rubber band here if you want. Okay, and see that? So here, I'll grab my bigger zip tie. And I'm going to add it through in here. Just through in there. Okay. Zip it up a few clicks. Just a few. And then you walk this up. Zip it up a little bit more and keep walking it up until it reaches the top and you can't walk it up anymore, and then you zip it up fully, just like that, and then you snip off your zip tie tails. Okay, see that? That's our 3D daisy chain petal, and I cut off about this much. Leave about that much in there. Okay, so let's do that again. Let's do another one. So curve side up, turn it this way, and it to a diamond, as we say, and again. Okay, these have to be this way and this way. See that? So 5 inches down is where I pinch. Every time you measure that part up, your petals will end up being the same length when you add them onto the board. That's why I measure here before I add them. So now let me show you how to do the 3D reverse 3D daisy petal. So these are cut at 10 by 10. I forgot to say that. So all the mess I've cut at 10 by 10 with a rotary cutter. And so you put this curved side up, the same thing as the other one, the same fold. But this one will add a bead. And so same way, you probably can see better with the green how I folded this. And these ones, as you can see, don't line up as nicely as the poly burlap. That's why poly burlap is my favorite. And so pinch here, right? Pinch, and add my zip tie. And my hearts. These hearts I got from Temu. That's where I got these hearts. They're almost an inch. They're about that size. They're cute. So when I chose this this project here, this one is so I'm just gonna feed that bead in through that zip tie, and I'm gonna zip it up just a tiny bit. Hold on, I'll talk about it after I do this here. Just a tiny bit. Okay, and then walk it up. Make sure your heart is facing up, and zip it up a little bit more, and keep zipping it up. Make sure it's up there, and your heart is facing this way. And when you zip up your zip tie, make sure my knob of the zip tie is at the back, which I didn't do that for this one. And now I'm gonna have trouble. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I had okay, so that's how we make that. So I open this up. So we open this up to make it look good. See that? You can close it if you want, doesn't matter. It's up to you. It's gonna be squashed like that, and when you add them into the board anyway. So let's make another one. and open this up. See that? Isn't that cute? It's so cute with a little heart on it. Right, so let's add those petals onto the board, and we will see how fun and cute it is. Maybe you like it. Maybe you'll try it. Maybe you won't like it. Clean some of the stuff off before, because, sorry, I'm a cleaner. I hate clutter. When I'm working down here, I have to clean up. Okay, there's our sign, and now let's add our 3D daisies. Here's all our petals. This one, I need the needle nose. Oh, I didn't turn this around. And make sure my knob of the zip ties are facing up. You can leave it down, it don't matter. I like it up because it's a good stopper. Okay, just add your petal, 1 each per zip tie, all the way around, just like that. And when we're done adding our petals, we'll come around and cut off the zip tie tails. Favorite part. Last petal onto row 2. Okay, there we go. That's the petals. So we'll snip off all those zip tie tails. There we go. So we'll go on to row 3 for the reverse 3D daisy petal with the little cute heart. So 1 petal per zip tie. Making sure my zip tie is inside, and zip it up. Do the same thing all the way around. See how the green is popping so good, and the pink heart with the black. Love that. Okay, to make sure these are sitting side by side. So I'll just cut the tails off now. Right, there it is, friends. There's my petals are all in there. When I add the sign in there, I make sure my hanging holes are at the top, which is there up here. So when I add the sign, it won't be crooked. So I'm gonna add my sign. Let me see. Where am I gonna add my sign? Probably these holes here. These holes and these. Let me turn it around so here's where the middle is. So I'm gonna add my pipe cleaners through here and here. Okay, I'll do that. You see now how the sign seems to pop a little bit more since I'm using the black for the frame. Okay, so that's added in there. We'll grab our okay, so there's our wreath for today.